Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here, as always, to cut through the noise and give you those key insights straight from the material you're curious about. Today, we're diving deep into manifestation, but maybe not in the way you usually hear about it. We're kind of sidestepping the vision boards for a moment.
Yeah, the sources we have looked at for this deep dive, they argued the real secret, the core of making manifestation actually work, isn't about doing more things. It's deeper, more fundamental. It's about a shift in your actual identity. So our analysis is focused squarely on how you define yourself. And honestly, the surprising power your words, your language have in shaping what's real for you.
Right. It's like, are you asking the universe for permission, or are you handing it an instruction manual based on who you are? So our mission today is really to help you see how manifestation can move from just being this abstract idea, this theory, into something you actually live, your lived experience. And to do that, we need to get into why identity, according to this material, has to be declared, like actively chosen right now, not something you just stumble upon later. Okay, so let's get into this first big idea. The sources, they have this great term for it, the default trap. And the core of it is that most people, well, they live reactively because they're basically outsourcing who they are. They let the world define them.
That really hits the nail on the head.
Yeah.
One source put it really well, saying, the world happily hands you 1,000 labels. And because we're often looking outside ourselves for, validation, we just kind of accept them without question.
Exactly. And these labels, they're things we all recognize, right? Success, failure, broken, worthy, maybe unworthy. The image the material uses is really strong. It says people wear these labels like hand-me-down clothes that never quite fit. Just think about that for a second. You're moving through life trying to operate in a definition of yourself that wasn't even made for you. It feels off. It feels uncomfortable because you didn't choose it. And that feeling, that discomfort, it leads straight to living life as a reaction, like you said. You're not navigating based on your own internal sense of self. You're just bumping off external things. You let, as the sources say, people, places, and events tell them who they are.
Yeah.
So, the market's up, great, I'm successful. A relationship ends, oh no, I'm broken. That's pure reaction. And it totally blocks real manifestation because you're never the one actually initiating the energy. You're just responding.
Which brings us neatly to this idea of the mirror of circumstance.
Yeah.
This is really key to grasp. When you look out at your current situation, your life, the world is reflecting back something. And if you see struggle or lack, the default is to think, okay, well, that means I am a struggler. And here's the really profound bit we pulled from the material on this, the mirror. It only shows what's already there. It doesn't decide what's there. It's just an innocent reflector, passive.
Yep.
But most people, they see that reflection, maybe it's debt or job dissatisfaction, whatever, and they accept that reflection as the final word, the ultimate truth of who they are. They mistake the temporary image in the mirror for their fundamental nature. They think, oh, I have to wait until the mirror shows me success, then I can call myself successful.
And that waiting, that's the trap. Okay, so if the default is outsourcing, reacting, wearing these ill-fitting labels, the sources argue for something pretty radical. They call it flipping the script. And what that means is you have to stop. Just stop waiting for the world or some future success to finally give you permission to be who you want to be. Stop waiting for it to assign you a name.
It really is a huge mental shift for most people. It's like a little philosophical earthquake, isn't it? That moment you realize identity isn't the prize you get after you succeed. It's actually the starting block.
That's the absolute core distinction here, I think. Identity isn't something you just find accidentally, like digging through the rubble of your past experiences. No, it's something that is declared boldly, here and now. It's like an internal act of sovereignty. You're basically saying, look, my past, my current situation, that's just data. It's not my definition.
Right. But then the obvious question comes up, doesn't it? How could you possibly declare, say, I am wealthy, when you literally just looked at your bank balance and it's, near zero?
Yeah.
How do the sources tackle that immediate friction? It feels almost, delusional to some, to define yourself against the evidence right in front of you.
That's a great point, a really important challenge. And the material addresses it head on. It says the declaration isn't about pretending your circumstances don't exist. It's not denial. It's about deciding where your authority comes from. Does it come from the outside world or does it come from within you? The difficulty, the feeling of delusion, it comes because we're so conditioned, almost addicted, to needing that external proof first. We're trained to wait for it. But the declaration flips that. It's a statement that says, I am choosing my identity before the proof shows up. I refuse to let the current reflection dictate the future reality.
So you must actively choose. That's the crux of it. The whole process depends on this need to stop outsourcing your definition. You have to take that power back, that habit of waiting for the diploma, the merit certificate, the big paycheck to tell you who you are. That's the very thing that stops manifestation in its tracks. It's like the universe can't rearrange things until it gets clear instructions on who it's rearranging for, who you being.
Exactly. It needs that clarity. And the sources frame this as a conscious invitation, a choice. You have to, and I like this phrasing, rise up in each moment and decide boldly and unapologetically who you are. It's not a one-time thing either. It's an ongoing, moment-by-moment choice that determines if you're reacting or if you're creating. All right, so once we kind of accept this pretty radical idea that we are the definers, not the define, we need the tool, right? How do we actually do it? And the mechanism the sources point to is surprisingly simple but incredibly powerful. It's linguistic. It centers on the conscious, deliberate use of the most fundamental statement of being you can make. I am.
Yeah, those two little words. The material treats them as, well, almost like a foundational technology for reality creation. They're essentially the engine that drives your declaration, the core of it.
The sources actually describe using I am as casting a spell that sets the tone of your reality. I love that. It suggests this immediate, almost energetic impact every single time you use those words, whether you mean to or not, consciously or unconsciously. You're drawing a line. You're defining your existence from that point forward.
And this ties right back to what we were saying about the mirror of circumstance. It leads to what the sources imply is a kind of obedient mirroring. If the world is just reflecting your state of being, then your I am statement is what dictates that fundamental state. It tells the mirror what to show.
So let's think about how this goes wrong for most people, often without them realizing. Unconsciously, maybe someone's internal monologue is running scripts like, I'm always struggling, or I am just unlucky, or maybe I am terrible with relationships.
Exactly. And if you declare, even silently to yourself, I am limited or I am stuck, then life will, as the sources put it, obediently mirror limitation. It's not punishing you. It's not making a judgment. It's just reflecting the identity you've claimed. If you truly believe, deep down, that you're fundamentally unworthy, you'll interpret events through that filter. You'll miss opportunities that actually contradict that belief because they don't fit your I am statement.
But the flip side is just as powerful and potentially instantaneous, at least in terms of the energetic shift. If you consciously, deliberately choose to declare I am powerful, or I am abundant, or I am worthy of love, the sources say you'll start to feel the world almost immediately begin to bend around that vibration. The declaration sets the frequency, and the world has to respond to that new signal, regardless of what happened yesterday.
It creates a new internal blueprint, doesn't it? A new compass. If you start genuinely declaring, I am a creative powerhouse, your actions naturally begin to align with that identity. You might find yourself stopping the old habits of procrastination and starting the actions a creative powerhouse would take. That declaration forces a kind of behavioral alignment. And then the world starts mirroring that aligned behavior back to you.
So it's not wishful thinking, it's almost structural. The I am statement becomes the operating instructions that your own mind, and subsequently the universe, has to follow. Okay, so let's trace this through. We've made the shift, we've stopped outsourcing our definition, rejected those uncomfortable hand-me-down labels, and we've actively, consciously started using that powerful I am mechanism to declare a new identity. What happens next? What's the promised result, according to this material, of making that bold choice?
The sources are really quite decisive on this point. Once that decision about your identity is truly made and declared, once you decide, okay, I am resourceful or I am a capable leader, and you stop needing the external validation first, the promise is that life will rearrange itself around that decision. It has to.
Rearrange itself, what does that actually look like? I mean, practically speaking, does everything just magically change overnight?
Well, maybe not magically overnight in every single detail, but the shift is fundamental and can be surprisingly quick. Rearrangement means the universe starts, essentially, serving up experiences that match your declaration. Opportunities you never saw before suddenly become visible because your new identity makes you perceptive to them. They were maybe always there, but invisible to the old you. You might find old relationships or situations that directly contradicted your new, bolder sense of self start to naturally fall away. They don't resonate anymore. And perhaps most importantly, your mindset, how you handle challenges, how you see setbacks, that changes almost immediately. You're no longer operating from the viewpoint of, say, a broken or lacking person. You're making decisions and seeing the world from the stance of a whole or abundant person.
Right, that internal shift in perspective, that structural integrity feels key. And this brings it right back to you, the listener. This is the crucial connection. It's this conscious, internal, active declaration, this fundamental self-definition that's the bridge. It's what moves manifestation from being just a concept you read about, a theory, into your actual, tangible, lived experience, day by day. That declaration becomes the new bedrock, the new foundation for your reality.
Absolutely. When you stop waiting for the outside world to tell you who you are, you step into the role of architect. The definition have to come first. The result follows the definition, always. Hashtag outro.
Wow. That was a really powerful framework for understanding self-definition and its role in manifestation. So the key takeaways for you to consider. First, stop outsourcing your definition. Refuse to keep wearing those uncomfortable labels the world offers you. Second, recognize that mirror of circumstance for what it is, just a reflection of your current internal state, not a final judgment on who you are. And third, really understand and start consciously using that incredibly potent mechanism of the I am statement. Use it to set the tone and ultimately the structure of the reality you experience.
The choice is radical. It's available right now, and it's entirely internal. As we saw, the sources insist you must declare your identity, not wait to discover it. But I want to leave you with one last thing to chew on, something drawn directly from the text we analyzed. The sources strongly suggest that every single moment, every action, every inaction you take is already a declaration of identity, even if it's unconscious. So if that's true, what underlying, unchallenged I am statement are you broadcasting right now? What spell are you casting that the world is obediently mirroring back to you, maybe without you even realizing it? Now that's something worth reflecting on today.